Good afternoon and welcome to this edition of Generación STEM Get Future Ready livestream. My name is Marifer Zavala, graduate assistant for Generación STEM at Texas State. I'm so excited to be back for another Get Future Ready session. This week, I am joined by a very special guest, Mr. David Sharp, Lab Manager at Visionary Fiber Technologies. Mr. Sharp, it's a pleasure to be able to chat with you today about your work as a lab manager at an engineering startup.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Definitely. Before we get into the more technical part of this conversation, will you please give us a bit of background about yourself?
Sure. I grew up just north of Austin, outside Fort Hood, where I went to school for a fair amount of time, and I'm originally from Fort Campbell in Kentucky, in a military family. And what I studied at Texas State was biochemistry, and then my minor was in biology, and I did a fair amount of research through school in different labs.
And we asked you to be here today because we want our students to learn more about what career opportunities are available for them to explore after they complete their STEM career at Texas State. Can you tell us a little bit more about your job?
Sure. So what I do as a lab manager, and this is more for a small company, is I coordinate with both the engineers, the scientists, and the chemists in trying to make an atmosphere where I do a lot of removing of distractions. For example, chemists work on a project. Right now, a publicly known project for our company is we work with renewable diesel. And so working with different feedstocks and materials, so learning how to take incoming feedstocks and the different characterization of those feedstocks. And from there, what we'll do is we'll have the chemists run either different analytical tools or techniques, as well as using our proprietary software / technology to work on that feedstock. And then the scientist is the one who's typically writing, like, hey, here's the plan of attack for the project, and this is what we're going to do. And then the engineers are the ones who build it. And so my job is to say, hey, whenever we're wanting to build a new system for a new client, it's going to be I make sure that we have the chemicals, we have the personnel, we have the time, and then coordinating all of those groups together and saying, hey, this is who you got, this is the time, this is the time frame, this is the chemistry, here's the chemicals, here's the equipment, and then poof. And then delegation of tasks and then assisting others if they have any questions. That's kind of like a day-to-day of what I do.
That sounds like a really interesting role. And what steps did you take to prepare professionally for this job?
Sure. So it wasn't very straightforward, but what I did in undergrad was I knew that I really liked doing research. So I joined a research lab at Texas State in my sophomore year after completing a REU. It's a research experience for undergrads, which is hosted by the National Science Foundation. And so that's where I got some experience, and I got my foot in the door that way, which is awesome. It's an awesome opportunity to go to either your own university or to other universities. I went to CU Boulder for my first REU and did synthetic chemistry with a focus in organic semiconductors. And so that kind of gave me a little bit of skills that I could transfer to other aspects. And then from there, I worked at another startup. I seem to have a habit here. And at that startup, I worked with aerogels, and it was like, okay, how do I learn how to work with others instead of just kind of by myself in lab, learning how to work with a production schedule of like, hey, this is what needs to happen, and these are the people that you're going to be working with. I did that for about 8 months until that startup got bought out, which is awesome. But I was just an intern, so it was fun. And then from there, I did another REU at LSU, where I worked with frontal polymerization type material. And then I went back to Texas State and then worked with Dr. Jennifer Irvin in her research lab, working again on organic semiconductors, and worked through the Honors College to write some grants and fellowships So that helped buy the materials so I could do the work, as well as give me a stipend for doing research at Texas State. And then basically all that culminated in was apparent because I was not originally wanting to be a researcher. I was originally on the pre-med track, where it was like, hey, I want to go be in medicine. And then I noticed that I really liked being in lab more than I enjoyed the other aspects. And that's how I escaped. It was my fun thing to do in the evening. So I would go do research on the weekends or in the evenings or something during the days, really whenever the grad student I was working with had time. And it was a slow culmination of events where it was like, okay, I actually really enjoy this. This might be something that I might want to pursue. And I enjoy the collaborative nature of both working as a chemist, and I really enjoy chemistry, even though I am a biochem major. They have a fair amount of overlap. And from there, I was able to say, hey, let's see if I can find a job in this area that I actually really enjoy. And from there, I joined this company that I'm at now. And I was working in the lab for a fair amount of time. And then we started hiring more and more and more people. And it's like, okay, we need a lab manager. And so since I trained all the other people, they're like, okay, here's the title. So that was a really nice culmination of events saying, hey, and it's interesting looking back to see, hey, you did work with others in your internship in college. And that's where you learned how to work between like non-scientists and scientists sometimes, or engineers and chemists, and like PhDs and masters or undergrads, and learning how different people think and how different people act and want to react. And that was a really cool learning experience that I didn't quite fully appreciate until I started looking back more recently. It's like, oh, that was actually really helpful, so that I know how to talk to people, because everybody's different. And everybody has their own way of viewing things. And so being open-minded to that really assisted with me kind of getting to where I am now. And I'm excited for what's going on next, but thank you for the question. Yeah.
Yes, and this kind of goes back to what you were saying, but if a student was considering this career path, what things can they do while they're in school to better prepare for this type of role? What things would you recommend?
Yeah. There's as I mentioned at the very beginning, the REUs, which is research experience for undergrad. I believe Texas State has the SURE program, which is kind of like an REU. It's very, very similar. And so that's really awesome for getting your foot in the door for, hey, do I actually enjoy research? And it doesn't necessarily have to be for grad school. Like you can still apply for it and they will still accept you, even though you might not want to get your PhD or your master's or something. They still want to say, hey, we're trying to promote scientists because we need scientists. And it was a really awesome opportunity to get my foot in the door. And that's really what helped me get in, was that first REU was just like, oh, here's an exposure to it. Yes, no. And I was like, yeah, yes. And then more and more exposure. I was like, definitely yes. So I think that's awesome. So that would be an example of it's kind of like an internship. And then different places, there's Star Park in San Marcos, which is affiliated with Texas State, is an is a startup incubation hub. Sorry. And what they do is Texas State collaborates with them, and a fair amount of those companies are looking for undergrads to work in the lab for those companies. And that was where I applied and got into that opportunity, and it was close by. It was close to campus, so that really assisted with learning how does the world work outside of academia, and so that was me learning, hey, do I want to go more into grad school, into the academic route for the next few years, or do I kind of want to step into industry? And for me, that was a great opportunity for me to learn. I kind of enjoy the industry route a little bit more. Do I still want to go back to grad school? Yes. But for right now, the industry is where I'm at. And it's fun. Experiences, Texas State also hosted, it was a weird, but it came up through one of the College of Engineering hosted a seminar on 3D spatial orientation, where it was like, hey, we'll give you lunch. I was like, okay. And and we'll teach you how to like rotate objects in your mind. And so it's like, hey, here's a block. If we turn the Lego on its side, what does it look like on the side? Draw it for you. And it really helped with like, okay, so if I'm designing systems or if I'm building things, I work with a lot of engineers. What does it look like? How do I rotate it? What's the space look like? And it was really cool. I think it was like 2 weekends, maybe 3 weekends of, in it was just one of the engineering professors hosted it, and it was like, hey, here's a little booklet, fully free. We will give you lunch to learn more. And I was like, oh, it was just like a little workshop that was hosted, and that was awesome because I was like, okay, I enjoy food, but I also enjoyed like learning how to turn things in my mind. And it was really fun. And that was a really, really cool opportunity that I still tell people about frequently, even now when I'm like, oh yeah, I can rotate things in my mind. I had a class at Texas State. Anyways,
Yeah.
so that was like that was an opportunity workshop, I guess would be the best term for that. That was hosted by Texas State, and that also kind of taught me, like in the skills aspect, how do I communicate what I think in my mind. I can rotate it in my head, but how do I tell you what it looks like on the other side? So communication part. But yeah, that's something that I think really helped me get where I am, and that's something that I got through Texas State. Yeah.
And from your perspective, what is a skill set that you think students should prioritize developing outside of the classroom? And is there a particular professional skill that you would emphasize is the most important in your line of work?
For the professional line of the skill to learn, I think a huge one is learning how to communicate. And I think that is emphasized in class, but typically we learn how to really write really well, typically, where it's like, hey, write a paper on something. A huge change going into industries. People don't like to read your emails unless they're short. So learning how to be concise and really just boom to the point, right word, right syntax, right timing, everything. It's like, okay, that's hard. That was a huge change, learning how to go from, let me give you my 20-page report on blah, blah, blah. And they're like, I don't want to read 20 pages. I have other things to do. So learning how to boil that down, as well as to give good presentations and have that excitement for that presentation. And it's interesting because even if you have the most exciting data in the world and you give it in such a drab tone, people are going to be like, it's not exciting. They're not excited about it. Therefore, I shouldn't be excited about it. And learning how to convey your emotions and say, hey, this is actually cool. You have to be careful with that one, because you have to make sure that you're appropriately saying your data is good and not just saying I'm really good. But regardless, learning how to give a good presentation, learning how to be concise and professional, and how to work with others is really hard, and something that I don't feel like. I've worked in groups at school, but not to the same degree of every day having to talk to other people in a professional setting. And that was like, oh man, okay, bite your tongue. So learning how to communicate and be kind with your words, as well as just things people don't have all day, is a huge change that I had to learn. And in terms of skill, you definitely need to know how to like use Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. Like that is 100% necessary. And know your shortcuts, make life easy for all of those documents, and yeah, be savvy.
Sounds great. So let's review the chat box to see if there are any questions from our viewers. So if nobody has a question, I will ask you another one. If you could go back in time and be a student at Texas State again, what is an opportunity you would take or service you would use that you didn't while you were here?
Sure. To best answer that, I believe the thing that it's a double-edged sword. For me, I studied a fair amount, and I was very, very studious. And I think to that degree, I was lacking in other departments. What I mean by that is I did not focus on learning how to build a relationship with professors or with other students in a professional setting, because that is how I more easily could have gotten a job, to say and have those and get over, for me, that barrier of, hey, I'm a little scared to talk to this professor. He's a really scary, professor. And in reality, they're a professor because they want to be a professor. No one's forcing them to be a professor, and they want to be there and they want to help you. And I just wish I had tried to communicate with them more and say, hey, I'm coming across this issue, or hey, I want to let you know who I am and what I'm doing. And a huge majority of them are very, very busy people. Yes, that is a thing, but they do want to help you. And I think that is something that I really regret not getting to do more of. I thankfully had a PI, I had a research advisor, and I have a great relationship with my research advisor. And I still talk to her 2 years later, where we'll just call and chat. And I'm super grateful for that relationship. I just wish I had more than that relationship and say, hey, I have these other professors or these other advisors where I could just be like, hey, I'm a little stumped. I'm looking for some advice, or hey, I want to let you know what I'm up to, and still connect with them because they're like, oh, hey, I know this person over here, and that is awesome that I have one, but I wish I had more. So, and also connecting with grad students, I connected and worked underneath really 2 grad students. And so even now I communicate with them, and they're still in grad school. They went to they were getting their master's degree at Texas State, and then they're getting their PhD now. And I'm really happy I have those relationships to be like, oh, what is it like? And getting more insight into, instead of me reading about what a PhD is like, it'd be like, hey, let me buy you a coffee and let's chat about your day-to-day life and your experiences. And hey, is it as scary as it sounds? It's like, no, it's not that bad. Some days are bad, but for them. But I think relationships is something that should not be underestimated, especially professional relationships, in the sense, as well as Texas State offers a lot of workshops and a lot of communication workshops, professional leadership workshops. I do not recall that off the top of my head. There's leadership institutes, a lot of organizations. I was in a few orgs as well, and that really helped me learn how to, work with other students and lead projects and stuff like that. And that was really fun. So there's a lot happening, and I, to a degree, wish that I had interacted some more with those opportunities. I don't regret at all my choice in choosing Texas State, and I'm very grateful that I've had the experiences that I have had. So, yeah, thank you.
Mr. Sharp, thank you so much for being here today and helping our students learn more about your career and possible ways to prepare for entering the STEM workforce.
Cool. Well, thank you for inviting me, and I'm grateful we could connect.
Thank you all for joining us today for this edition of Get Future Ready. Have a great day and see you next time. If you are a student at Texas State working towards a career in STEM, please reach out to us so that we can help you navigate your STEM career development at Texas State. And you can find us on social at Texas State Gen STEM. Thank you.